Okay, so today we're talking about zeal, embracing zeal. And so you're not allowed to yawn through the whole service or during the service. All right, so we're going to start with a passage from Matthew 19:28. It says, "Verily I say unto you, that ye who have followed me in regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit on the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And everyone that have left houses of brethren, sisters, or fathers, or mothers, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit eternal life." So, the 12 tribes of Israel. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, would call this your 12 powers. That the 12 tribes of Israel are the 12 faculties that you are born with inherently and that came with you through the creation story, through your Christ consciousness. So you've heard the 12 powers of faith, understanding, will, enthusiasm. Don't make me say all 12 because I'm going to forget some along the way. Renunciation, power, love. And so what Charles said is that each of these powers are part of your body. And before we get to that a little bit, I want to go back to a word that he talks about called regeneration. So you've heard me probably say that in the past, generation versus regeneration. Generation is the physical manifestation of who you are. Regeneration is to reunite or reconnect all of mind, body, and soul. And so what we tend to do is we think of divine mind idea expression. And we kind of get stuck sometimes in the mind and the idea of what we're talking about. And we can move to the expression part. And that expression may be some form of manifestation, right? But we understand that mind, idea, expression is coming through you. So it has to come through the body. And to awaken the spiritual man or Christ consciousness, that is what Charles is talking about. That you have to incorporate your body into all that you do and have and be. You can't forget it. It's part of who you are. So Charles said that zeal is the mighty force that incites the wind and tides, and it urges us, and it urges the planet, including humanity, to go forward. Go forward. It affirms all things. Zeal is the affirmative impulse in existence. It commands us to go forward. So what do I mean by that? Zeal is what forces the waves. It's the energy behind the earth that compels it to go forward. It is times when I was at my lowest, if you will, that things would happen in my life, and some people might call this the dark night of the soul, that I would say to myself, it is at my lowest that I find my most strength. It's my faith. And I would start to pull out, pull forward, and move forward. We are compelled to move forward. To move forward. It's one of the 12 powers identified by Charles. And zeal lives right here in the back of the skull. It is the energy that comes through the head into the body. And if we block it, then we're tired. Now, I'm not saying that you're not human and you don't get tired, but I think you know a little bit of the difference. That maybe we're blocking an idea, or we're blocking the idea of becoming fully Christ conscious, right? That we are holding on to something, we become tight. But zeal, embracing zeal, requires us to move Energy is always in motion. You have heard me say before that we've gone to Nova Scotia, and there's a thing that we did in Nova Scotia one year called tidal bore rafting. You have to get all dressed into these yellow rain suits and wear a pair of shoes that you don't care if they get ruined. One of those kinds of adventures. And we start out by standing in mud, orange mud, and we get on these rafts and we have to push the raft to the middle of the river, and then we start towards the river. Well, Nova Scotia has the highest tides in the world. It's 54 feet difference. So when you drive by a little inlet or a dock, you'll see the boats are in the mud, and 8 hours later, they're in the water up, even with the dock. There's such a drastic difference in the tides. It's just an incredible thing to see. Well, we go out on this raft, and I'll take the first slide. And up here, you see a bridge. And this, right in front of the bridge, you see that little brown, and then a little white cap right there on the left, my left. That's the tidal board we're gonna ride on, the tidal board. It's a wave that starts off like this, below your knee. And you're going, this doesn't look very exciting. They said it was like whitewater rafting. I see a little white. It's not a whole lot there yet. And they go, look, here comes the tidal bore. And you see this long little white wave comes in. Now what's happening is the ocean is coming in and the river is going out. And what happens is right about where that brown area is, they hit each other. And as the tide continues, they start to form these 4 and 5 foot waves. Next slide. That's us below the wave at this point. They form these waves because the two forces are crashing together. You can't stop that ocean from coming in, and you can't stop the river from going out. But man, when they crash together, what life you've lived. And so the waves start going, and they get up to 5 feet. And you're in this outfit, and you have a life jacket on, and they say, hey, if you fall out, don't worry, you won't go anywhere. Because the two forces are hitting each other. We'll just pluck you up and put you back in. I said, I don't think that the water is supposed to go over the Zodiac. I shouldn't be sitting on water. We've walked on water, but ha ha ha. Not sitting on it. And the boat disappears underneath as he goes, let's go through this one. And you come piling out the other side of it. This is fun to them. This was actually fun. I have to say it was fun. I was embracing Zeal on that day. It was fun. You're out there like for an hour and you're just crashing, you're whitewater rafting on this tidal bore that started about like this. That is the earth compelled. It is zeal. It is the energy that Charles talked about. It is Mother Nature's force, if you will. You can take it down. It is. It is the energy that compels the flowers to bloom, the ocean to have waves. No matter how technologically advanced we become, we can't stop the ocean from producing waves, right? That's God's energy. Zeal, compelling the earth to move forward. Now, if we're part of the earth and we live here, then it must also compel us to move forward, right? Embracing zeal. A man without zeal, Charles would say, is like an engine without steam, or an electrical motor or electric motor without current, right? Regeneration is when the spiritual life is incorporated with the body. The energy of zeal is going through you now. It's in every cell that you have. every organ. And a lot of times we don't acknowledge it. Zeal is aligning oneself with the divine and allowing the energy to flow through us. This is the power that Myrtle used when she was praying for her healing. She acknowledged each cell in her body. She acknowledged each organ. And she sees the power of zeal as it regenerated itself. See, we can get into how often the body regenerates every cell. It's happening without us realizing it. We don't typically acknowledge it, right? Romans 12:11 said, never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual favor serving the Lord. Spiritual power of zeal comes from a deep connection, an intimate connection with God. I've been guilty of saying in meditation, I'm going to try not to this time in meditation, just allow the body to do what it knows to do. In meditation, whether it's me or not, we tend to want to move our thoughts from our mind into our heart space, right? Into our Christ consciousness. And we say the body is pretty much going into this natural state of rest. But when we talk about zeal in the spiritual man, as Charles would, and you are using your body through the whole manifestation process, well, then your ears hear, but they hear spiritually. What do I mean by that? If I can hear two people talking, especially at like work, right? And they're not listening to each other. They're talking over each other. I can hear it. But what I hear is fear, or someone who's not sure because they weren't communicated with. It's like hearing their feelings, the feelings behind what they're saying. And so then I would say to myself in this conversation, before I open my mouth, God, please speak through me. And then I open my mouth and start talking. See, my mouth could say a lot of things, right? Our bodies don't forget, but our words, they will never forget. They live forever. You know that from, I remember my mother said this, my grandmother said this. We remember the words. We remember the words. So my mouth can speak words of hurt, or it can be words of affirmation or positive. Right? The words of Christ consciousness. Not all the time. We're human. We have times where we're not good at this. And that's where our practice comes in, of our faith and prayer and meditation, right? But when we embrace zeal, we're embracing the idea, or the acknowledging, it's not even really an idea, it is a fact that you have an energy force within you that compels you to move forward. Things don't go the way we want it. You know, my daughter was here a couple weeks ago, and she's at FSU. Well, in 2-week time, a friend of theirs, well, an acknowledgement, as she knew, was hit and struck and killed by a car. 2 fires broke out and burned 3 or 4 students out of their apartment complexes. The cat she was taking care of died. And she had to take it to the vet because the owner was in Miami. She got sick with a stomach virus. And so I said, is the book of Revelations happening in Tallahassee right now? A week later, they got hit with the tornadoes. A block from her, luckily not her, the apartments, the cars, everything was uprooted. This kid was going through all kinds of stuff in a 2-week period. I said, how you doing, honey? She's like, I'm adulting. I said, yes, you are. but I'm here. And then she came home for a week, and she regenerated. I could support her. We fed her, which is very important for college students. She always likes coming home for food. Then she got to go buy a dress or something, I don't know. You know that self-care? We'll prop them back up again and send them on their way. You know, all of that is ebbing and flowing of life. The ebb and flow of life. It's how we approach it. It's how we get through it. But we get through it with the embracing. We cannot stop that from happening, but we embrace the power and we move forward, right? Don't ignore the body in this process, because all that energy of zeal is going through you right now at this moment, whether you feel it or not, whether you acknowledge it or not. And when you can incorporate the body into the spiritual man, then Charles would say that you have reached Christ consciousness. Okay? So when you came in, they gave you a handout that says Zeal on it. If you didn't get one, you can raise your hand. I'm sure they'll bring it to you. So I'd like for you to, actually I'm going to take a little divert right here. I'm going to turn the corner a little. It just so happens, did anybody read the Daily Word this morning? Yes. I didn't read the Daily Word till this morning. So I'm going to read it real quick before we do our Zeal handout, because it goes together with what I'm talking about. I am a living expression of God. In the book of Exodus, Moses asks God his name, and God responds, I am who I am. I am is the name of the divine presence within me, a reminder of my spiritual nature, zeal, the presence within you. Sometimes I may forget my divine identity by thinking of myself as weak, incapable, or unfortunate. If I have spoken disempowering words about myself, I release those thoughts and stop using those words. Each time I say I am, I strengthen my awareness of the truth of my being. I am God's life, love, wisdom, and strength, expressing uniquely as me. As I pay attention to my thoughts and words, I am able to recognize and release limiting thoughts more quickly. My awareness of my true identity grows stronger and stronger. He said to them, but who do you say that I am? As we limit our thoughts, if we are telling ourselves that you are weak, you're down on your luck, you are poor, whatever it may be, you are limiting the zeal energy and shutting down that which can flow through you. So over the next 30 days, I'd like for you to consider this on this handout. Connect to the divine. With the power of zeal, I connect to guidance, inspiration, and strength to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. Find a way to connect, whatever that is for you. 2, access wisdom and intuition. With the power of zeal, I access my own inner wisdom and intuition, and I affirm my ability to make sound judgments. Affirm. 3, cultivate compassion and love. With the power of zeal, I cultivate a loving and compassionate heart by overcoming fear, resentment, and judgment, fostering deeper connections and harmonious relationships. The next person you meet and you want to see their Christ consciousness, look for their zeal. What energy are they pushing out? Connect harmoniously. Number 4, practice mindfulness and presence. With the power of zeal, I am present in the moment in everyday life. I experience inner peace and serenity amidst life's fluctuations. Life will fluctuate. Life will fluctuate. But God's energy does not. And 5, share service and contributions. With the power of zeal, I share my gifts, talents, and resources for the benefit of others and the world. One of Charles Fillmore's favorite sayings was this: I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with faith to do the things that are to be done by me today. Let's say that together. I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with faith to do the things that are to be done by me today. Absolutely.